Hello, my name is Eric, and this video is the story of how I fully overcame ankylosing spondylitis without any medication. So the purpose I'm recording this video is to help people with AS or any other autoimmune condition, because what I'm going to share here, it's good for any autoimmune condition and even allergies in a lot of cases. So in 2013, I was diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis. I am HLA-B27 positive, so I have this genetic propensity to ankylosing spondylitis. And first of all, I want to say that it's not like, oh, I had a little bit of pain and then I stopped eating this, I started eating that, and now I'm better. No, it wasn't like that. It's since I was 11 years old. I remember the first time I had inflammation. By the way, it's an inflammatory disease. AS is an inflammatory disease. It's similar but still stronger than rheumatoid arthritis. It works a bit differently, but it's also inflammatory. So when I was 11 years old, I had inflammation in my ankle, and that took a while to heal. It took over a year, and I went to doctors. Nobody knew exactly what was going on. I tried different things, and after that period of about a year, over a year, I was fine, but I never really understood what caused it, right? And well, later in life, I had other moments where I had strong inflammation. I remember, I think it was 2007. I went to bed, I was fine. I woke up, my right knee was swollen, and again, I could barely walk, and it lasted for months, trying everything, all kinds of treatments. Then I remember another time, 2011, was my ankle again, but this time was so bad that I even had to start using crutches in order to be able to get around. So, and that time it took 9 months to recover. Again, trying everything, and at that time I was already eating healthy, so I thought it was pretty healthy, with the exception of what I'm gonna share with you now. And then in 2013, when I was diagnosed, I remember I was working in construction and I got injured. But then with this injury, I had inflammation. And then I started having inflammation in different parts of the body. It was my back. It was the knee, both knees. I remember the elbow. I remember not being able to brush my teeth with the right hand. And also, I remember in the middle of the night, when I had to go to the washroom, not being able to walk to the washroom, so I had to crawl to the washroom. So it was pretty bad. So I'm sharing this video, and I know what you're going through. If you have, or you have had, or you know someone who's suffering with autoimmune disease, I know exactly what it is. I know what it is to have a lot of pain. I know what it is to be depressed because of it, and I know what it is to have financial problems because of it. So I want to help you with this video. Then, so I was diagnosed, and basically what they tell you when you have AS is that it's incurable, and there is medication that can help control the disease. But the medication that actually works, that works the best, they are biological medications, and they basically suppress your immune system, because an autoimmune disease is when your immune system starts attacking your own body and damaging your own body, in this case causing inflammation. So by suppressing our immune system, it's weaker, and then the inflammation won't be as strong, will be under control. But of course, there's a problem. The immune system is the defense of your body. So if it's suppressed, you're more prone to infections and things like that. So I didn't really want to play with my immune system because I already had some health knowledge, and I honestly, I don't believe that a disease has no cure. In most cases, I think there is a cure, especially autoimmune diseases, because I've seen a lot of people healed from cancer, from autoimmune conditions and all that. So I knew that there was healing for me too. So I decided, and I even saw he's considered one of the best physicians in North America, who specialized in ankylosing spondylitis. So I decided not to take any of that, and I decided to do some research. And I did a lot of research and prayer. I do believe that God led my mind as I was studying and showed me exactly what I had to do in order to fully recover. And even there is whether you believe the Bible or not, there is a text in the book of Proverbs that says the curse will not come without a cause. So okay, there's a genetic propensity, but I believe there's also an environmental cause or a lifestyle cause. So I started searching. I did blood tests, because at that time, I was in 2013, I was already a vegetarian. And I thought, well, maybe there's something, I'm lacking some nutrients or something like that. But I took the test. Everything was fine. I wasn't low on anything. I was well. I did do therapy with high doses of vitamin D. I don't know if you are aware of it, but in Brazil, I won't say that it's popular, but a lot of people know about it, and a lot of doctors do this protocol with patients. And you take basically high doses of vitamin D, and it helps control your immune system, and it helps with, it's famous to help with multiple sclerosis. So I did that, and it did help a lot. But by the way, don't do that at home, because there are some things you have to do, dietary changes you have to do when you take high doses of vitamin D. And I was taking, I think it was 80,000 units a day, so it was a lot. It's not that common here in North America as it is in Brazil, but I researched, there are some doctors who do it too, if you Google it. And so I did that, but still, it didn't really solve the problem. I did something called autohemotherapy. That also, I learned that in Brazil, where you take your own blood and you inject in your muscle, and basically that helps regulate your immune system. I won't get into the detail. I know it may sound crazy to some people, but it does work. It does work, but it doesn't solve the problem, because I was trying to, instead of taking a drug, I was doing something that was not a medication, but still, it's not the right approach, because the right approach is to remove the cause of the problem. And anyway, so I kept researching and praying, and then I started, then I came across something that started to make more sense. And I started watching documentaries and reading articles about the GMOs, the genetically modified foods, and that those foods were actually causing problems in people's guts, in the intestines, and damaging the lining of the gut, causing a condition that's called the leaky gut, and that was causing autoimmune diseases. And I found that, of course, this is very controversial. Conventional medicine doesn't usually believe that, but I started to give it a try. And what I did, I wanted to see if was my problem or autoimmune problems were related to the gut, as they were saying. So I went on a juice fast for 3 days. Actually, I was 5 days. The other 2 days, the fourth and fifth day, I was eating light, but I introduced solids slowly. But the first 3 days, I was on a juice fast, like vegetables, and I would throw an apple, using a juicer. And I realized something. Okay, first day, not much change, but second day, I wasn't in a lot of pain anymore. And third day, I was pretty much pain-free, inflammation-free. And then all that information connected, and I was, of course, I'm not digesting. Well, not that I'm not that, but there's not a lot of breaking down that the body has to do when you're juicing, right? And it's not like when you're eating solid foods. And when I started introducing solid foods, I remember I had a soup. I think it was the evening of the fourth day or something. I had a soup, and I already felt some inflammation, and that made sense. I said, okay, so I have a problem in my gut. And I started doing some more research, and then I realized, basically, to summarize it, I learned that there were two things I had to do. Because I started researching how to heal a leaky gut, because I could not find anything specific. Oh, I had ankylosing spondylitis and I'm fully recovered, like I'm recording right now. I couldn't see it. I know there are other videos today that share similar things now, but back then it was hard to find. So I had to find some things related to autoimmune disease and then leaky gut. And I found this girl, like, I can't remember her name, and she was sharing how she had leaky gut and a lot of allergies and autoimmune reactions, and she was young and her life was a mess because of her condition, and how she healed it, and other people too, how they got healed. So that's what I'm sharing here, is not just, oh, this is just my experience, but I got encouraged to do these things because I saw other people thriving and being completely restored from whatever they had, right? Autoimmune conditions and gut problems. So I saw that there's one step you have to do. First, eliminate the cause. And the second one is to repair the damage that has already been done to the gut. So these two steps. And by the way, there's a document. It's a 2-page document I prepared, something simple, but it basically summarizes everything, all my recommendations here in this video. So I'm focusing here in telling the story, but if you just want to go straight to the document, just download it. It's in the description. There's a link there, and you can click and download this document. So the first thing would be to eliminate the cause. And I found out that the main thing that was causing gut problems, in people, is foods that are genetically modified. Because I won't get into a lot of details, but there is usually in genetically modified foods, one type of them, the Roundup Ready type of genetically modified foods, they get a pesticide called Roundup, and this pesticide has an active ingredient called glyphosate, and this ingredient is responsible for all this damage and all this disaster in people's health. So the first thing to do is to avoid GMOs and everything else that contains glyphosate. And that is the main genetically modified crops today are soy, corn, canola, cotton. Some places people use cotton oil, so that's why I'm mentioning cotton. Soy, you can have also soy oil. Corn, there's corn syrup, there's corn sugar, there's corn oil. Canola, there's canola oil. When you see vegetable oil, it's usually it's a blend, and it always contains soy or canola, one of those, right? So when you read vegetable oil, not safe. Beets, you see a lot of things have beet sugar, and a lot of times when you read sugar, it's also beet sugar, so not safe. Even alfalfa. Anyways, there's these things, they are genetically modified and they're not safe. And there are also other foods that they are not genetically modified, but they do have glyphosate. And one example is wheat. A lot of people have been having problems with wheat gluten, and with gluten in general, but especially wheat. And what happens is, when glyphosate doesn't allow your body to fully break down the gluten, so the process of breaking down stops somewhere, and then this gluten accumulates in the lining of the gut and it damages it. That's why a lot of people have been having gluten intolerance more than in the past. We cannot just say that it's gluten itself, because 50 years ago it wasn't as bad as today, so there must be something else causing it, right? And this is glyphosate, Roundup, that they use when they harvest the wheat, or just prior to harvest. And not only wheat, but other grains like barley, buckwheat, most grains, actually even rice, they are contaminated with Roundup. I put on the document, because I don't want this video to take too long. As I said before, I put some links to websites when you can see that information in detail and exactly what has Roundup and what doesn't. There's also a good website with a lot of health documentaries called fmtv.com. It's like a Netflix with health documentaries. Amazing. I recommend it. And so those were the things. When I stopped eating those things, first I quit GMOs, right? I didn't know about other things that had Roundup. So first I quit GMOs. I felt significant improvement. But I wasn't quite well yet. And then I did when I found out about the Roundup, because I could not figure out why wheat was being bad to me, and I never really bought this idea that gluten itself is bad and that we didn't evolve to eat gluten. I don't really believe that, to be honest. So, and then I found out this relation with between gluten and Roundup, or glyphosate, and then it all made sense. And I remember I was, at some point, I was fine. I was fine, almost no inflammation, but and I bought some popcorn from Costco, and it said non-GMO. I would eat it at night, and then I would have inflammation in the middle of the night. And I was wondering, why is this popcorn causing me pain? And then researching, I found out that popcorn, they also use Roundup. So, and then it made sense. So I came to a point that I know exactly what to eat and what not. So basically, to make things very simple, whatever has Roundup, whatever has glyphosate, and or is GMO, is not good for you to eat, especially if you have an autoimmune condition. You should cut these things, because they really trigger autoimmune reactions really bad. So that's the first thing, eliminate the cause. Second thing is to repair the damage, as I said. So by doing research, I found that there are three main supplements that people take in order to heal their gut. 3 main supplements. And as I said, I'm summarizing here. There's a lot more information. You can do your own research, but those 3 are the main ones. So I started taking L-glutamine in 20 grams a day. Usually it says 5 on the bottle, but because of this problem, you can take more. I was taking 20. Some people say you can even take 30 grams a day. I was taking 20, and I did that for a month or 40 days or something. You can do from 30 to 60 depending on how you are. So I did it for about 40 days from what I remember. 20 grams, like 10 in the morning, 10 in the evening. And I was also taking slippery elm, whatever the bottle said. I think it was 2 capsules 3 times a day or something. And but L-glutamine, you gotta be careful. People with heart problems, they usually cannot take glutamine, so they use arginine instead. But anyways, you have to consult your doctor about that. Just don't, because I'm not a doctor, just don't do everything I said. Make sure it's safe to you. Okay. And so L-glutamine, slippery elm, did that for about 40 days. And that helps to restore the lining of your gut, and slippery elm helps to soothe inflammation in the gut. It's like a jelly substance once it's mixed with fluid. And after those 40 days doing that, I bought the best probiotic I could find. It was in capsules too, and I took it for about a month. It's how long the bottle lasted, because then you want to reestablish the balance of the microbiota of the intestines. And after that, and removing the cause, I was fine. I was fully recovered. Like I didn't have any more pain. Like I would only have some inflammation when I would, for example, go out and eat something and that it usually has vegetable oil and things like that, so I would get some inflammation. But I knew exactly what to do if I wanted to be well. And then I decided to test myself, not only because of that, because of other circumstances too, but I decided to go back to construction, because it's easy to say, well, I'm recovered, but I'm not really exerting my body too much. And so I decided to go to construction, and I worked in construction for a year. I only quit, not that I quit, I do some jobs here and there still, but I'm only not doing it full time right now because I just moved to the country and I'm doing some organic farming. But I'm physically active. I have no physical limitations at all. And when I went to construction, it was it was frustrating, because after a few months in construction, I started feeling a lot of pain in my lower back. And well, my back in general. And then I got frustrated because I thought, so I'm not fully recovered. What am I gonna do? So this disease, I'm gonna carry it for the rest of my life. But gladly, it wasn't anything to do. Not that it wasn't anything to do. It wasn't that the ankylosing spondylitis was active. It was because with inflammation, your muscles, everything gets too tight. And when I started working, my body wasn't really prepared for all that physical activity, and I started feeling pain. But that was solved with some chiropractic adjustments and stretching. Simply stretching, like 3 to 5 minutes a day. I was stretching, and then I got fine. I was working without a problem. Even people without autoimmune diseases and nothing like my condition, they were in more pain than I was. I was actually in no pain when I started stretching, even working in construction. So that solved my problem, and I've been fine since then. And so it's been like, it's not that, so it's been about 2 years or more that I've been fine, that I've been recovered, and I know exactly what to do and not to do. And even after, sometimes your body builds up some tolerance to the foods that were very harmful to you. Well, the foods are still harmful, but nowadays I can have a social life. I can go out and I can eat out with my friends, even knowing that the food there might not be ideal, but my body can handle it now. I just can't do it like every day, or too often, or too much of something that I know it's harmful to me, because then the inflammation will come back. Oh, but then you're not, people can say, oh, but then you're not recovered. Yes, I am, but if you go back to what caused the disease in the first place, what do you think it's going to happen? It's obvious. So I just can't go back to the cause. That's it. But I can tolerate some of the cause now, because my whole system got stronger. So that's some hope for you, because you can have your social life again. Another thing I want to say is that I don't know how much that influences directly, but I am vegetarian. I'm almost vegan, to be honest, and I don't know how much that is directly connected. There are researches that show a connection between eating meat and autoimmune disease. Milk and allergies, there's a strong relation, like cow milk and allergies. That's really clear. So milk is a no-no. But with meat, one thing it's important to remember is that the animals that people eat, they eat GMOs. They're fed corn, soy, sometimes wheat, so even alfalfa, and that's GMO, and that's in their blood, in their meat, and people eat it. So I would say it's not good, right? So indirectly, you're also receiving that from the animals. And I do use sometimes eggs, organic, but not a lot. It was helpful. Organic eggs were helpful to me, because at some point there was nothing I can eat. The worst thing is when you cannot eat bread, because it's so practical to just wake up in the morning, you're in a hurry, and I'm a very busy person, and you're in a hurry and you just want to eat some bread and get going, right? And you can't stop. When you stop at Tim Hortons, there's nothing you can eat, so it's really difficult. Not today, because I have the tolerance, but back then, when I was more sensitive to it, it was like that. So organic eggs would help a lot. I would just eat some rice, organic, right? Organic rice and eggs, and I would eat, I remember, like cooked food in the morning and for lunch, because I didn't have a lot of options for breakfast. I would eat like rice and beans. It's a Brazilian thing, in the morning, and some rice pasta like for lunch, and that's what I would do. And in the evening, something lighter, like more fruits, and I could have like cornflakes, organic cornflakes. I would get the one with no sugar. By the way, cane sugar also has Roundup. I know it sounds very discouraging sometimes. Sugar is not good to eat a lot of it anyways, but it does have Roundup too, so it's something you have to watch. As I'm coming to a close, one thing I do need to mention is a lot of doctors, some doctors, were mentioning in the documentaries I watched that people who have become allergic to a certain food, sometimes even after they're recovered from their autoimmune problem, they can be still sensitive to certain kinds of food, and even if they eat it organic. Okay, so this is something to be aware of. In my case, it's soy and wheat. I have these two things that if I eat it, like, my tolerance is not very great for those two things. So soy, even organic, and wheat, because those were the main things I believe in my diet before. Because as I said, I was vegetarian. I was eating quite often I was eating soy and wheat. I have an Italian background too, so a lot of bread, a lot of pasta, so that really caused it. And I'm still sensitive to those things even if they're organic, but other than that, there's nothing else I'm really sensitive to. And I thank God. And again, whether you believe the Bible or not, it's interesting that in Genesis it shows that God gave Adam and Eve a plant-based diet in the beginning, and it was plant-based. It was organic, of course. It was non-GMO, of course. It was unprocessed. It was as simple as and natural as possible. And really, if people eat like that, they will be well. So, just reminding you, there's a document with all this information summarized in 2 pages only. You can share. Please share this video if you know people suffering with autoimmune diseases. Hit like if you like it. Subscribe if you're interested, because I might be, and I will probably be, posting more things, because I recorded this video in Portuguese first. It's my first language, and I've had such a good response, and now I have to post more videos with things more specific, because people start asking, what do you eat, and give us some ideas. So I'll probably have to do that in English as well. So subscribe if you're interested in future videos, and I really hope you can benefit from it, and I wish you the best.